I have a question for you, specifically whoever is watching this video. Why do you cheer for the Cleveland Browns? Seriously, why is it the Cleveland Browns? What attracted you to this team? What made you want to cheer for this team? Is it simply just that they are in the city that you're born in and you decide to root for them? Or is there something deeper, or is that how it started and then it became something deeper? See, it is July. The Cleveland Browns do not play until September, and 3 weeks from now, they'll finally be in training camp. But the mere fact that you're watching this video right now tells me that your love for the Cleveland Browns is way deeper than just the name in front of the nickname of the team. It has to do with something more, and that's what I want to discuss. I want to talk about my personal journey as a Cleveland Browns fan and what it means to me, and just kind of have a conversation about why it is that we do this crazy thing that we do. But before I get into that, I want to thank another group of crazy people who do crazy things that I love to see them do. That is the Dog Check tier Patreon members. And again, I'm going to start with Michael Matique, Nick Merrick, Mike Lopau, Wesson Megan, Tyler Chiz, D.A. Jade, Easley Bash, Joe Hart, Gabriel Wilson, Fred Pratt III, David Valtiar, Relentless Buck, Chunt, Rex Kaufman, Kevin Johnson, DJ Marino V, Edward Carpenter, Matt H, Sign Sheets, Gemini, Liam Freeman, Fight Dirty 74, Yo, Matt Lloyd, Paul Wilcox, Hundo Magnifico, Kyle Stuffer, Lukey from Munich, Deveroff, J Guy 101, Musty Taco, Joe Bobby, Brad Calbo, Dylan W, James McGinley, Arenda Hall, Chad Gimme, David Maldonado, Dylan Hell, Josh Mendorch, Jaleel Salim Jr., Mark M, TJ Showman, Stuart Moore, Cleveland BCI, Robert Jermaine Jr., Dave, Mike May, Andrew Hirsch, Curtis Byer, Batman, Bharat Kumar, John Albert, Beerman 069, Masayua Buzzer, Roland James, Nemo, Mac House, Reeve Hertz, Philip Wilcox, Marie Vivert, Sean Barron, Goggles Pisano, Corporal Nick Lopez, Dom Gazzulo, Nick Nasty, Ian Whitaker, Colin 216 Christian, Dave Strong, Michael Stone, Billy Moose Gentry, Austin Z, Mark Burnett II, Andre Griffin, Otis Wolf, Dog Pound, Kai Greg Ehlers, Austin Bowling, Lydia Mahawk, Jesus Serrano, Chris Foams, the Picktown Browns backers, Max Neelakenko, Mark Khan, Max Al Dojo, and Water Bear Marketing. Again, guys, thank you so much for the support. It really means a ton. Now let's talk about why we cheer. Now, when I asked that question at the beginning of this video, I know a lot of you guys probably just said, hey, I'm from Ohio. I love football. Ohio loves football. Cleveland Browns right here. But I just don't think it's as simple as that. I don't think you have a love affair with a team that has been as mediocre as the Cleveland Browns had been for, 20 odd plus years, and stick with them just because they're the football team in the city that you were born in or a city you have a connection to. I don't think it's that simple as, oh, it's just a team, because when you look at how the fans are for the Cleveland Cavaliers, it's not the same. You look at how the fans are for the Cleveland Indians, it's not the same. And no disrespect to those fan bases, I do think that they have really big, really ravenous fans, but the Cleveland Browns just nationally and locally just mean something different, not just in Cleveland, but to football. So again, there goes that question. Why is it that you cheer for the Cleveland Browns? Well, I'll tell you why I cheer for the Cleveland Browns and what made me fall in love. Now, obviously, I was born in Cleveland. Dad's a Browns fan, so it was a natural connection, right? Dad's watching football. Well, he's in control of the TV. Guess I'm watching football. And, I was born in 95. So there are bits and pieces of earlier years that I kind of remember, right? Like Tim Couch a little bit. 2004 Butch Davis, I remember that season a little bit. 2005 here and there, like the first couple of years of Romeo Cornell. But there's one season that was the season where it changed for me. It wasn't just, hey, I'm sitting in here eating, lunch with my brother and my dad while they watch the Browns game, and I guess since they're doing that, I might as well do it too. It was the moment that I actually became a fan, and that was the 2007 Browns season. That's when this changed from just a fun thing to a true fanhood, or whatever you want to call it, that was developed. Now, how this happened and why this happened, there's a couple of factors. One, Browns were actually good that year. They were 10-6. They had a good offense. They were exciting. People were excited, and it was just exciting to be excited about the Cleveland Browns. So, that kind of adds into it being fun to cheer for the team, especially when you're young like I was. But that still wasn't really what cemented me as this diehard, I'm going to stick with them through Brady Quinn. I'm going to live with Brandon Weeden. Yeah, sure, let's draft Johnny Manziel. I'll stay with you after that. I don't think that's really what did it was the 2007 season. And while that had some great moments, Jamal Lewis finally not doing harm to the Cleveland Browns and actually helping the Cleveland Browns for once, Josh Cribbs and his true emergence as an elite kick returner in the NFL, like that season was tremendous, but it's what came along with that season, right? When you're excited about the Cleveland Browns as a kid in 2007, there aren't as many options or weren't as many options back then to do as there are now. Right now you have guys like me who kind of just like focus in on the Browns and do this almost every day. But back in the day, if you went on YouTube and you look for Cleveland Browns, you weren't going to find produced videos. You weren't even going to find ESPN clips. You weren't going to find locker room videos. You weren't going to find anything official. All you were going to find was these slideshows. And as silly as this sounds, this channel and the passion that surrounds me doing this channel, and in turn my entire way of making a living, kind of hinges on me falling in love and being fascinated with a video that I found on YouTube about the 2007 Browns, but more importantly, about the history of the Cleveland Browns, right? It was this little slideshow set to the tryout song from the Rudy soundtrack, and it just cycled through the history of the Cleveland Browns. And that's where it grabbed me, right? You see Paul Brown, you see Jim Brown, you see the championship Browns team. You're reminded or, enlightened about what this team is, what this team could be, and what this team always will be, which is different than any other team that's in Cleveland. I love the Cavaliers. I respect Cavs fans, but the Cavs don't mean to basketball what the Browns mean to football. The Cleveland Indians don't mean to the MLB what the Cleveland Browns mean to the NFL. And that's really what I think separates the Cleveland Browns from every other team in the city. There is a real sense of history here. Paul Brown invented training camp. He invented the playbook. He invented the face mask, the radio. He basically invented modern football. Power runs, which is a baseline thing in every football game you'll ever see. Paul Brown made that up. He implemented it first. Like, these are uniquely Cleveland concepts. And when you realize how important that history is, how overlooked it can be, it kind of gives you that sense of importance, maybe a little bit of that underdog feeling, but a understanding of why the Cleveland Browns are such an important franchise. And I know people are going to act like, especially younger people who don't know the history or just know the expansion Browns, go, oh, the Browns aren't that important. What if they contributed recently? And there's a fair point to that. My counterpoint would be, look at all the other franchises in the NFL that have been disbanded, that have moved, changed names, identities, right? The Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, the LA Raiders. These are franchises that mean a lot, that have accomplished a good amount, that have gone away and changed in name and everything else. But the Cleveland Browns, the second it was proposed that that franchise not be called the Cleveland Browns anymore and be called the Baltimore Browns or whatever it was going to be, it was refused for that to be let happen. It was refused by the city. It was refused by the NFL. Like, the Cleveland Browns need to be the Cleveland Browns. So much so that they just paused football history for an entire franchise for about 4 years until that team was ready to come back. And if that doesn't tell you what this team means to football and why it's just different with the Cleveland Browns than it is with any other team in this city. I guess my point in this very rambly mess of a video that I'm putting out here, I apologize, is yes, for a lot of people, it's a bunch of different things that might bring you into being a Cleveland Browns fan. Maybe you like the uniforms. Maybe you like the colors. Maybe you're somebody who thinks it's really cool that the helmet doesn't have a logo. Maybe you were born here. Maybe you have family that like this and you had a favorite uncle that cheered for the Browns and this is your way to connect to that uncle. Whatever brings you here can be a bunch of different things, but I think the one unique thing about a franchise like the Cleveland Browns and why it's so important and why the league and the NFL and the city fought so hard to make sure that the Cleveland Browns don't disappear into history is while all of those different things bring all of these people from all across the world, and I get messages from people, Europe, Asia, India, like all kind of continents, all over the world, all different time zones that watch this channel because they just are diehard Browns fans across the world. I mean, you know about Browns backers. You know those clubs are literally everywhere and anywhere in the world. And I think the reason why that fan base is so strong, the reason why the Browns, despite being in Cleveland, right, a non-traditional market, you know, it's not New York, it's not one of these flashy cities, despite that, its ability to be this national brand is because, yeah, all of those other things might bring you into being a Cleveland Browns fan. But the one thing that keeps you a Cleveland Browns fan is the rich history. That if the Cleveland Browns did not exist, if that team did not exist, if Paul Brown was not an NFL head coach, if Paul Brown was not out here innovating with the Cleveland Browns in the early period of football, the game might not exist. It was Paul Brown who brought all of these innovations to the game of football. Integration was something that Paul Brown had did early in football. You know, a lot of the things that we call modern football was birthed by this franchise. And without this franchise, it's arguable that football as we know it as America's new pastime or new favorite sport for the last 20 odd years or 30 or however long you want to say it's been America's favorite sport, because it is now. It really is hard to see it existing without the Cleveland Browns, because if you look at what this franchise has contributed and brought to the game of football itself, it's really a no-brainer that the Hall of Fame is in Canton, Ohio, a 45-minute drive from where the Cleveland Browns play, because the contributions to the league, to the game of football, is just so gigantic that it can't really be quantified. Yet there are other franchises that have done more and won more Super Bowls than the Cleveland Browns, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers, the Green Bay Packers, you know, obviously the New England Patriots, right? Those are all dynasties, and their legacy is built off of success. And while the Cleveland Browns legacy is also built off success, it's pre-Super Bowl era, and that's not really what it's about. The Cleveland Browns legacy is about what that early group of Cleveland Browns contributed to the sport of football. Paul Brown and his innovations in coaching, in game planning, in training camp, like literally everything that we cover in the NFL kind of goes all the way back to Paul Brown. And if you don't believe me, ask Bill Belichick. He thinks the same thing, and I think he knows what he's talking about. And then you look at the kind of star level aspect. You have Jim Brown. Jim Brown was one of the first huge crossover football stars, like had a massive impact on the NFL, exploding in popularity before the Super Bowl era. And that's the one thing the Cleveland Browns have that makes it different from any other franchise. Yeah, the other franchises have Super Bowl rings. Other franchises have more success. They might even have more Hall of Fame players. But the game of football that we love today doesn't really exist in the same way if it's not for the Cleveland Browns. And sure, the Cowboys might be a more popular team. The Green Bay Packers might be a more successful team. The Steelers might have a lot more Super Bowl rings. But none of them have the claim to the history of the NFL, the genesis, and what we call modern football that the Cleveland Browns franchise has a claim to. And that's what makes it unique. To cheer for the Cleveland Browns is not just to cheer for a football team. It's to appreciate and root for one of the biggest contributors to what has become the juggernaut of modern football. And that's something different. But that's just my thought. That's what the Cleveland Browns kind of mean to me. And that's why I think the Cleveland Browns, despite everything that's gone up against them, has still remained this massive fan base that in all likelihood, right, for a team in Cleveland, it almost has no right to be as massive as it is. But that is why it's as massive as it is, because its contributions to the game that it plays is so great that it can't be overlooked. But let me know what you think. Let me know why you're a Cleveland Browns fan down in the comment section below. I'm interested to hear your stories. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.